Good evening, I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Welcome to Tracking COVID-19. In the next half an hour, we track all national, international developments on coronavirus outbreak. In a mega operation, India has made a detailed plan to evacuate fellow citizens who are stranded in different countries abroad. Meanwhile, some of the worst affected countries in the West are now slowly reporting fewer cases and casualties and working towards reopening of their economy. Also, we will learn more about the significance of Arogya Setu app in the show ahead today. All that and more. First up, the headlines. Government to operate 64 flights to repatriate stranded Indians from 7th to 13th May. Only asymptomatic passengers will be allowed to travel. Coronavirus cases increase worldwide. So far, more than 36 lakh people have been infected with corona. More than 2,51,000 people have died. More than 11,80,000 people infected with COVID-19. Britain overtakes Italy to report the highest official death toll from coronavirus in Europe, with more than 32,000 deaths. Opposition parties raise questions about Boris Johnson's initial decision to delay a lockdown, say his government was too slow to introduce mass testing and provide enough protective equipment to hospitals. Several US states lift some of their stay-at-home restrictions enacted to fight coronavirus pandemic. West Virginia enters its second week of a phased-in reopening plan. Some shopping malls reopen in Georgia. California announces state's first tentative steps to reopen from the lockdown, gives green signal for retail stores to open this week with restrictions. And Health Ministry has said that the recovery rate of patients is on the right track in the country, and the recovery rate in India has now risen to over 27%, 27.41% is the exact figure.
हमारी टोटल क्योर लोगों की संख्या बढ़कर अब 12,726 हो गई है, जिसके कारण हमारा टोटल रिकवरी रेट बढ़कर अभी 27.41 हो चुका है। टोटल 32,138 केसेस एक्टिव मेडिकल सुपरविजन में हैं। पिछले 24 घंटे में 3,900 एडिशनल केसेस कंफर्म नोट किए गए हैं, जिसके कारण हमारी कुल कंफर्म केसेस की संख्या अब बढ़कर 46,433 हो चुकी है। पिछले 24 घंटे में भारत में कोविड-19 के कारण हुई डेथ में 195 केसेस का इंक्रीज नोट किया गया है, जिसके कारण कुल डेथ की संख्या अब बढ़कर 1,568 हो चुकी है।
And in a joint briefing on the coronavirus situation, MHA spokesperson said the government has allowed evacuating stranded Indians from abroad. She said only asymptomatic people will be allowed to board.
हवाई यात्रा के लिए नॉन शेड्यूल्ड कमर्शियल फ्लाइट्स का इंतजाम किया जा रहा है। ये यात्राएं फेज्ड मैनर में 7 मई से प्रारंभ होंगी। फ्लाइट लेने से पहले यात्रियों की स्क्रीनिंग की जाएगी। केवल एसिम्प्टोमेटिक ट्रैवलर्स को ही यात्रा की अनुमति होगी। यात्रा के दौरान सभी यात्रियों को स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय और सिविल एविएशन मंत्रालय द्वारा जारी किए गए प्रोटोकॉल्स जैसे हेल्थ प्रोटोकॉल्स आदि का पालन करना होगा।
An MHA spokesperson also said that passengers evacuated will be kept in 14 days compulsory quarantine under health officials' watch.
गंतव्य पर पहुंचकर सभी को आरोग्य सेतु ऐप पर रजिस्टर करना होगा। सभी की मेडिकल जांच की जाएगी। जांच के बाद संबंधित राज्य सरकार द्वारा उन्हें या तो अस्पताल में या इंस्टीट्यूशनल क्वारंटाइन में 14 दिन के लिए पेमेंट बेसिस पर रखा जाएगा। 14 दिन के बाद दोबारा कोविड टेस्ट किया जाएगा और हेल्थ प्रोटोकॉल के अनुसार अग्रिम कार्यवाही की जाएगी।
And Minister of Human Resource Development Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank today interacted with students through video conferencing. The minister informed students that JEE main examination will be held from 18th to 23rd of July and JEE advanced exams will be held in the month of August. The minister also said that NEET exam will be held on 26th of July.
वो हमने तय किया है कि 19 जुलाई 2020 से 23 जुलाई 2020 तक ये जेईई की परीक्षाएं होंगी। 16,84,000 छात्र इस समय नीट की परीक्षा में बैठ रहे हैं। 26 जुलाई को नीट की जो परीक्षा होगी उसके लिए मैं आपको शुभकामनाएं दे रहा हूं।
And following up on our top story, in a massive operation starting May 7th, India will operate 64 flights from 12 nations till 13th of May to bring in stranded nationals from across the globe. Union Minister for Civil Aviation Hardeep Singh Puri termed it as a special evacuation mission.
Comprehensive plan has been drawn up to address the particular issue of those of our citizens who find themselves distressed and have been stranded in foreign countries. Let me just give you an indication of the number of flights that we are planning to mount during the first week of the resumption or the commencement of this operation. And I mean the period between May 7 to May 13th. We have worked out those details, and these involve 10 flights from the UAE, 2 flights from Qatar, 5 flights from Saudi Arabia, 7 flights from the United Kingdom, 5 flights from Singapore, 7 flights from the United States, 5 flights from Philippines, 7 flights from Bangladesh, 2 flights from Bahrain, 7 flights from Malaysia, 5 flights from Kuwait, and 2 flights from Oman. This brings the total number of flights that will be operated during the first week to 64.
It's a massive operation to bring the stranded Indians home. Let's talk about Arogya Setu app now. Now, it's a government app, we know, for tracking coronavirus patients. It is now compulsory for government and private sector employees to download Arogya Setu mobile application to strengthen the efforts to battle COVID-19 pandemic. The app helps users to identify whether they are at risk of COVID-19 infection. It also furnishes significant information to people, including ways to prevent COVID-19 infection. Now, to learn more about this app, we are joined by Dr. Lalitesh Katragadda. He is advisor to Government of India for COVID-related technology like Arogya app, and also founder of IndiHood. It's a tech platform to tackle livelihood problems. Dr. Lalitesh, welcome to DD News and DD India. Thanks for joining us now. Given the unprecedented challenge of COVID-19 pandemic, we understand that contact tracing is the key to tackle the challenge. How significant does a tech intervention like Arogya app become in such a situation?
It's actually quite significant because it is impossible to constantly test every person in the country. And because this disease, even when some people catch it, most people who get it, it's asymptomatic. Contact tracing is probably the only way we can bring down the growth of this disease by catching people early before they spread disease to others.
Right. Also, if you could simplify the app for us. So we know it uses the internet, the Bluetooth of the phone has to be on. If you could simplify for our viewers, how does it really work and gather information?
It does 3 things. As soon as you download it, you're requested to take a self-assessment. And you can take that at that time, or anytime you feel unwell, you can report your symptoms so that the government can reach out to you and provide care. That is one thing it does. It does 2 other things. It takes a permission and turns on Bluetooth, and it remembers who are all the people you came in contact with using Bluetooth proximity, and it does it anonymously. It stores that information on the phone. It also remembers your GPS location every 30 minutes and also stores it on the phone. And only when you are infected, as determined by ICMR, or determined to be at very high risk, that information is pulled to the cloud, and that information is then analyzed for where all you have been and who you might have been in contact with. This serves 2 purposes. One is it determines who else might be at risk as a result of someone being infected. It could be you, it could be somebody else, and it could be a person who doesn't even know that they came in touch with this person for an extended period. And it also does syndromic mapping, which means that it maps all the places you've been to so that hotspots can be automatically detected and kept safe.
Right. So if we were to further simplify it and understand, can we say that the progress that we've made in data sciences and data analysis, that's in fact helping us to tackle an unprecedented disease outbreak like COVID-19? Is that taking place here?
Yes, it is taking place. So in addition to several hundred people having been detected through contact tracing, the other benefit that this app has had for society as a whole is we have been able to determine hotspots and catch them before they actually become evident on the ground. And that way the health authorities have a few more days to plan and contain regions
Right.
before they actually become explosive in terms of the disease.
Right, sir. Amidst these developments, there are also rumors and some doubts raised on the safety of this app. Questions are being asked about whether the data of the user is safe, what kind of data is this app going to access, and can this app be used for surveillance purposes? If you could clear the air on those concerns and doubts.
Yeah, see, most of the controversy has been around the fact that it actually captures your Bluetooth information
Right.
and GPS information, which is indeed very private information. But I think what is being lost in the commotion is that for most people, this information is kept only on your phone. And for a very few number, and I'll give you the numbers, of the 8.9 crore people who have, or almost 9 crore now, 9 crore people who have downloaded this app and are using this app, less than 7,000 people's information has been pulled to the cloud. Now, that is by no means a violation of privacy, and that's only for the purpose of helping society and not for any other purpose.
Right, and a little more, sir, on what kind of data does it access from a mobile phone? Are personal information, chats, do these become accessible as well due to this app? If you could tell us a little about that.
It only captures your Bluetooth information and GPS, and of course anything you submit by typing on the chat and so on, in terms of your symptoms and so on, which you are willingly doing, it is submitting, but it is not taking any of the other information on the phone
Right.
from your other apps, anything like that.
Right, and also is it important to reassert the point that it's a time-specific application in the sense that as long as this pandemic, this disease outbreak would last, that's how long it would be important for people to have it on their mobile phones. Once the disease is gone, people can delete the app if they want to.
People can and they should, and not just that, even before the pandemic is over,
Right.
within a 30 to 45 day window, we are constantly wiping out information because we don't need information for longer than 30, 45 days.
Right, and so finally, if you look at, because it's a global pandemic, we see other countries also developing app. France, UK, they're also it's a new thing for their people. They're testing it in the societies. How is Arogya Setu unique? What are the similarities and differences with the leading apps across the world?
See, India has taken a deep and comprehensive approach. I don't think any country has done what we have done. The self-assessment that you do, for example, is connected to the health machinery of the country, and this is unprecedented. So, for example, based on what people have reported as their own symptoms, more than 3 lakh people have been called and taken care of, and help has been provided. And in addition, we are doing both Bluetooth and GPS, which is again not been done at this scale by any other country. And the combination has been proven to be very effective from a scientific point of view in not just tracing people, but also finding hotspots ahead of time, which again is unprecedented.
All right, there, Dr. Lalitesh, thanks very much for joining us and telling us more about Arogya Setu app. Thanks very much for your time. Moving on, some updates from the states now. My colleague Sudhakar Rao gets us this COVID update from Telangana. Let's listen in.
As far as lockdown is concerned, in Telangana, it will continue up to 7th. And later on, what should be done will be decided by the Chief Minister. Most of the shops remain closed, barber shops are closed, temples are closed, and only such shops are opened where essential commodities are being sold. Almost all the traffic is also very much meager on the roads, and only people who have got permission from the police are able to move to their places. As far as the migrant laborers are concerned, an effort is being made to send them to their native places by trains. Some 40 and odd trains have been kept ready for the transportation of the stranded laborers who have come from other states. The number has come down, but even then people are asked to remain in their houses and they are not moving, and only official media is being allowed and only emergency services are allowed. Dr. K. Sudhakar Rao, Doordarshan, Hyderabad.
All the relaxations as far as COVID-19 is concerned, they were announced by the Ministry of Home Affairs for implementation during lockdown phase 3. Our Jammu correspondent Ramesh Kumar Raina gets us this report.
In Jammu division, Union Territory government has not implemented all the relaxations which were announced by the Ministry of Home Affairs for implementation during lockdown 3. Instead, the UT government has put all the districts of Kashmir Valley and 3 districts of Jammu division, Jammu, Kathua and Samba under red zone due to possibility of an imminent spread in new cases in view of expected movement of stranded persons to Jammu and Kashmir in the next 2 weeks and the risk perception of the health department vis-a-vis each district. However, all the essential services are functioning as per the standard operating procedure. Shops dealing in books and stationery items, milk, fruit, vegetables are open with certain restrictions like maintaining social distancing and wearing face masks, etc. No relaxation has been given to educational institutions, coaching centers, barber shops, salons, bars, gyms, restaurants, etc. till 17th May. However, agriculture and construction activities have already started in the villages and rural areas where all the instructions and guidelines are followed. Meanwhile, transit quarantine cum sample collection center has been set up at Nagrota in the outskirts of Jammu, where all the persons coming from Kashmir Valley in unregulated movement will be kept and subjected to sample testing and will be allowed to enter Jammu if tested corona negative. Some of the government offices too are functioning with reduced number of employees coming on alternate days. UT administration has also imposed a night curfew from yesterday and no movement of people is being allowed from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. RK Raina for DD India from Jammu.
And now we'll get the data from across the country. On the map of our country, we'll see how the outbreak of coronavirus has taken place across different states across the country. On the one side, we'll have the data. On the other side, we'll have the state. So Maharashtra, over 14,000. Gujarat has over 5,800 cases. Delhi has over 4,800 confirmed cases that have been reported. Tamil Nadu has over 3,500 cases, 3,550 exact number. Rajasthan over 3,000 cases. The other data also that is being presented, you can take note of that. Madhya Pradesh has over 3,000 cases reported. Uttar Pradesh, if we talk about 2,859 confirmed cases. You can also look at the deaths and other active data that is there. Andhra Pradesh over 1,700 cases. Bengal has reported nearly 1,300 cases, 1,259 is the exact number. Punjab has over 1,200 cases of COVID-19 as well. Telangana has crossed the 1,000 mark. 1,085 is the number in Telangana. Jammu and Kashmir, 726 cases of COVID-19 have been reported. Down south, Karnataka, 659 cases of COVID-19. Talk about Bihar, 529 confirmed cases. You can keep tracking the other data as well. Haryana, 517 confirmed cases. Again, down south, Kerala comes next. 500 cases have been reported. Odisha still has a contained number. 170 cases reported in Odisha. In Jharkhand, 115 cases of COVID-19. Talk about Chandigarh, 102 cases, just above 100 it is crossed. Uttarakhand, if we talk about, the number stands at 60 as far as confirmed cases are concerned. Chhattisgarh, below 60, it's 58 in the state of Chhattisgarh. Talk about the northeast, Assam has 43 confirmed cases. Ladakh has reported 41 cases of COVID-19. Himachal Pradesh has 41 cases as well. You can keep tracking the other related data also. Andaman Nicobar Islands, 33 confirmed cases have been reported so far. Talk about Tripura, 29 COVID-19 cases have been reported. Meghalaya, 12 cases have been reported. Puducherry, Union Territory, 9 cases of COVID-19 have been reported. Talk about Goa, 7 cases were reported, 7 recovered. So no active case really. Manipur again, it's cured. 2 confirmed cases were reported, but both of them have recovered. Mizoram has 1 confirmed case. Arunachal Pradesh also has a confirmed case, but it got recovered. So the overall COVID-19 figure in Arunachal also stands at 0. Now we look at how the different states, the top 5 states, they've really fared. We're looking at Maharashtra first, which is by far the worst affected state in the country. Over 14,000 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Maharashtra. Mumbai again, it's really the hotspot. Over 9,000 cases are in Mumbai itself. In fact, if you look at the adjoining areas, Mumbai, Pune, Raigad, these cities, urban agglomerations, they comprise over 90% of the cases that have been reported in Maharashtra. From Maharashtra, we go to neighborhood Gujarat. That comes next. Over 5,800 cases have been reported in Gujarat. Again, the way urban agglomerations have appeared as the hotbeds, Ahmedabad in Gujarat has reported over 4,000 cases. In fact, Ahmedabad, Rajkot are also part of this WHO trial, solidarity trial, where globally the symptoms, the recovery rate are being mapped. From there, we go to national capital, Delhi. Now, it's a very small size, but the population density is quite high. Over 4,800 cases have been reported, remember, in the national capital. The testing rate has also been high, so that is a positive development. But Delhi remains at number 3. Despite the small size, the outbreak has been quite intense in the national capital. At number 4 comes, if we come down, the southern state of Tamil Nadu has taken the 4th spot. It has over 3,500 cases that have been reported in the state of Tamil Nadu. Over 700 containment zones have been formed so as to really stop the spread of the virus. If we talk about Tamil Nadu, the particular market, Coimbatore market, it's not just Tamil Nadu, but in India, it's one of the largest fruit and vegetable wholesale market. There, positive cases were reported. So that entire market has been shut in Tamil Nadu. And coming at the 5th position, the worst impacted with COVID-19 comes the western state of Rajasthan, where the urban space of Jaipur again has a significantly high number of cases that have been reported of COVID-19. Again, urban spaces are focus. Other states, if you talk about Madhya Pradesh, if you talk about Uttar Pradesh, also come close. They also have upward of 3,000 and 2,000 cases respectively. The positive development, the small state of Goa, which became one of the first to become COVID-free in the country, continues to be COVID-free. Also, if you look at the northeastern parts, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh, as we looked in the data, also stand COVID-free. There are fewer cases, number of cases that were reported earlier, but they continue to be COVID-free. So that's the update that is coming in. And if you look at the overall number of cases, 46,000 cases, confirmed cases have been reported throughout the country. So that's the update coming in from India. Let's now look at some international news as well. It's a special graphical representation now of COVID-19 outbreak in different countries. Take a look. And the European Union has co-hosted a COVID-19 pledging conference with the aim to raise billions of funds to COVID-19 vaccine development and treatment research. My colleague Lucy Howe gets us this report.
Italy was the first European country to impose a nationwide lockdown, and it's now taken some steps towards normality, albeit tentative ones. Offices have been allowed to reopen. Employers will have to maintain social distancing and some workers will be asked to wear face masks. Italians must also wear face masks on public transport, but they can now travel outside of their regions for health reasons or for work for the first time since the beginning of March. Restaurants can also open for takeaway services as well as delivery. Spain, too, is starting to loosen its confinement for the first time since the lockdown was imposed in mid-March. That's following a continued decrease in both the number of deaths and admissions to intensive care. Over the weekend, adults were allowed to take outdoor exercise for the first time since the lockdown was imposed. That means an hour-long walk within a half-a-mile radius from your home, a solo run or a bike ride, but within specific times in the morning or the evening. Spaniards over the weekend spilled into the sunshine following 50 days of confinement measures, the most strict confinement measures that we've seen in Europe. Meanwhile, the EU is co-hosting a COVID-19 pledging conference aiming to raise more than 7.5 billion euros, which will be directed to health organisations. The aim is to plug gaps in finance resources with a race against the clock to find a vaccine. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen says this is just the start of the process and that more resources will be needed to manufacture and deliver a vaccine once it's found. The US and Russia were notable absences from a conference that was attended by not just European leaders, but also those from China, Turkey and the UK. Lucy Hoff, DoorDasher News, Brussels.
And with that, we conclude this edition of Tracking COVID-19. Do take good care of yourself. Namaskar.